Right, we're back on the Keeway RKS 125 here. I was just doing a little video on the exhaust renovation that I did. So the aim wasn't to make it perfect, the aim was to make it look used but tidy. So what I've done is I took the exhaust system entirely off the bike and then stripped off all the loose corrosion off of it, painted it in this finish here, and then reinstalled it along with the new chrome piece on the exhaust. So to paint the exhaust you will need some form of high temperature paint. Just a standard paint will just catch fire on the exhaust. This one's listed as 800 degrees centigrade. Whether it does that or not, don't really know, but this seems to hold the temperature. There's no smoking off of it. And it's given a very nice finish after it's dried. So you could try this one if you wanted to. So after you undo those two bolts at the front, or at least loosen them so that they're well away from the cylinder head, you really don't want any levering action on the screw threads on the port. You then undo these two bolts here. So there's one, you put a spanner on the one on the back, and sockets on the one on the side here. Now there is also a little tiny keyway in the side of this frame here. So when you're reinstalling it, you have to pop that little marker into the hole here to make sure that this mounts in the correct place, and obviously you don't get any form of rotation on that at all. You may well have noticed from the previous video that this was the front mount here was missing. So I've got a friend of mine to weld on small pieces of metal down here. Then my original idea was to place a riv nut into that, but unfortunately there's not enough depth there to fit one of those. So in the full Bodgers R Us style, I got an open-ended spanner, put some hot glue glue onto the spanner to hold the nut, and then bolted from the outside through to hold it in position. And obviously when it was all done, it's in the case of just pulling it off. Yeah, I still need to install a little piece on the end here. That's the last little piece I've got to do. You can see there's a nice little clearance here. And this piece on the side here, it does work. It really does work. I've run it up to full temperature and this stays nice and cool. So if you are carrying a pillion, this will protect their legs from any form of burning from the exhaust. So when you are removing this exhaust, it's obviously ideal to disconnect the oxygen sensor from the loom first, which is up underneath the tank. So ideally you probably need to take the tank off. I mean, you can get your fingers in there and wiggle about in it, but it is a waterproof connector and it's quite a challenge to get to. So probably easier in terms of time just to physically whip the tank off, disconnect the connector, drop it through the gap in the frame here, and then work on either remove this if you need to, which I did to paint the exhaust, or if you're just taking it off for maintenance purposes, make sure these wires aren't sort of snagged and banged so you don't damage the sensor itself. Now see here, there are two hex bolts hold this into the cylinder head here. Now when you're threading these back in again, do it by hand to start with. What you don't want to do, you really don't want to cross thread those ports, because once you cross thread that, that's it, new cylinder head. Or you've got to helicoil it, which is a challenging job. Basically, to get that to helicoil that properly, you would probably have to take the cylinder head off anyway. So it's relatively questionable if it's worth doing, or just getting a second-hand head. So try not to do that. So the way I reinstalled this was big bolt in the back first to support it, then tighten these up on both sides loosely, so you're doing them in pieces, a little bit more tighter at the back, so that it's almost there but it has some movement, and then the final few turns onto this, and then applying a torque to the nuts. When I looked this up, couldn't really discern an exact figure, but I reckon 10 Newton meters was the one from my research. But do your own research and double check that, because I didn't find a figure that said this is what it is. I just surmised that from data that I read. So hopefully that's provided you a little bit of information on how to remove and reinstall the exhaust on this or any comparable system. One day I'll finish it. One day. I just haven't quite decided which day that is. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, tell me I'm an idiot, whatever you want. Just be respectful as ever. Thanks for watching.